Now, Vince, if you were in the government today, would you have imposed this particular tax on the oil and gas companies?
Probably yes. I mean, it's politically a bit of a no-brainer. I mean, it's a bit like seeing a £50 note in the street. You pick it up, and there may be small marginal consequences in the short run, but not very much. And you know, I've worked in the oil and gas industry, and I understand how they work, and I'm sympathetic to them, but. This is not a sort of big drama. Where it becomes difficult is if governments keep repeating it. But in the past, Conservative governments have done this. George Osborne, 2011, the Thatcher government, Gordon Brown on the power companies. If it's a very occasional action in exceptional conditions like we have today, I can't see it doing a great deal of harm.
But Mike's point was that it would deter investment. Do you buy that?
Well, as he also said, they operate on a 5 to 10 year, 20-year time horizon for big projects. So they're not going to change that because of a one-off measure, which isn't particularly draconian and which has been well advertised in advance. I mean, if I was sort of criticising the package, it's that the government is looking up opportunities for, low-cost, easily invested renewable power. Onshore wind, for example, is cheap, easy to produce, but, the Conservative backbenchers are blocking it. That was a much more sensible and easy way to get cheap energy in the short run.
And do you think that the measures that the Chancellor has announced, do you think they've gone far enough to sort of help those with the cost of living?
Well, they, very welcome what they've done for low-income families. I don't want to be curmudgeonly about it. It's a sort of positive step. I'm not quite sure why it was necessary to send me checks. I mean, there are some of us who are quite reasonably comfortable and don't need these universal payments. They'd have been much better off, in my view, just concentrating the resources they have on the people who really need it, and maybe using universal credit. That would have been, I think, a better measure. But, I don't want to be grudging. It is quite a generous package. It may have to be reinforced in the autumn, but as far as it goes, it certainly does positive things.
And how big do you think the risk is of it creating worse inflation? Because that's another criticism that people are using.
Well, if the companies decide just to pass on the tax to consumers, this could have a marginal effect, not a big effect. But the prices of oil and gas are set in international markets. The national governments don't do a great deal to change them. So that's not a big issue, I don't think.